Hey there, I'm Mark from Liffey Mills, and today we're up here on Stewart Family Farm up in County Longford. We're here with YouTube extraordinaire Farmer Phil, and Farmer Phil's just going to give us a quick run through on his enterprise here and a little bit on the calf rearing. So Philip, thanks for having us up, and you might just give us a quick run through on the background of the farm here.
So thanks for coming up. So we're dairy calf to beef farmers. We rear anywhere from 350 to 400 calves a year, a mixture of Frisian Jersey cross, Frisian cross, Hereford Angus, Belgian Blue, just a general big mix of calves. We bring them all through to beef. We have bulls, bullocks and heifers, but our bread and butter of our operation is our Frisian and Jersey bull. We grow 240 acres of tillage, which the majority goes back into the cattle when we put them under finishing ration. We grow wheat, barley, oats, beans and maize for feeding them. This year we used Elvor milk replacer to change up our feeding scheme. The Elvor has more protein than we normally feed, so we wanted to see whether we're going to get additional weight gain on the cattle and see what they're going.
And are most of our calves reared on a bucket, or are they reared through a machine?
So we have two automatic feeders, two urban calf mums, both which will feed around 150 to 160 calves. Actually the shed just behind us there is one of the sheds that we use for rearing calves in, and at peak feeding we'd be putting out over 1,000 litres a day through the feeders.
Very good. So when the calves come onto the farm, you use a little bit of the Adapto milk replacer this year, which is our transition milk replacer as part of your regime. How do you think that went on with the calves this year and on the calves you used it with?
So it went well. Generally we'd always have an issue when calves come in off farms. They've been usually fed whole milk from cows, and when they transition over to milk replacer we always find they've scour. And we've always had to put in other additives to try and prevent that or lessen that. And this year we used Adapto to switch them over, and it worked quite well. The majority of the calves never showed any scour, never had any issues with it. So it done exactly what it said on the tin, really. So
yeah, and any of the calves you did have issues with, did you see them bouncing back quicker or anything afterwards, or how did it work later on as they came along?
So some of the calves did scour. We did think we got a bug off one of the farms, but something I've actually never seen. The calves that were sick at the start come back and ended up coming off milk with the rest of their buddies that they went in with that didn't get sick. So it was very unusual to see that. Normally if a calf gets sick you can be guaranteed he's going to ring on another 10-20 days on the scheme, whereas this year one in particular, 1609, he went off. He's in there somewhere behind us, and he's the same weight as the rest of them. He never phased them having the scour, which is unusual now.
So you had him on the Adapto for the 2 weeks at the start, was it?
Yeah.
And how did you find moving from the Adapto onto the Elvor? Obviously it's a slightly higher protein milk replacer than what you were using before. There's a little bit more fat in it as well. How did you find the new milk replacer this year compared to the milk replacers you were using before?
Found it exceptional. We had calves that were, generally speaking, we'd always have calves that would never drink the full amount. So the feeding regime on the Elvor was 7 litres a day for, I think it was 25 days. And normally we'd always have a lot of calves that wouldn't drink the full amount, so they'd be on 5 or 4 litres. But them calves, compared to other years, would normally be kind of lesser. They'd go a bit skinny, they wouldn't be fully filled. But this year, them calves that weren't drinking as much were as right as rain. We had 2 calves, one of them in there 360, he reared himself on 110 litres of milk. We couldn't get him to feed, but he never looked back, he never lost a bit. He's actually one of the heaviest calves in there. He come in at 250 kilos, I think, when he come into the shed, so it never phased him.
And you were using the calf 18 to complement the Elvor the whole way up along.
Yeah.
How did you find that at the start, getting calf 18 introduced to the diets?
I never seen the like of it before. We put it in calves literally fresh out of the trailer. One of the first things they done, they were over at the meal, they were smelling it, they were licking it, they were eating it. Never seen the intake of meal so high in calves, just straight in and straight on it.
So just on that last note, Derek is here beside us, and he said he had a couple of points to make on that calf 18. How did you find the calf 18 this spring?
Oh, it was absolutely super. As Philip said, when the calves came out of the trailer, it's the first time ever I've seen them going straight to the meal. They started eating, they were nibbling away, They weren't just looking at it and walking away. They were actually getting into it.
Yeah.
And you were saying about your Adapto. When we changed over onto the powder, the calves that were eating, their intakes dropped for a few days because your protein was there. It was up. And your intakes of the meal just went down a small bit. Not for too many days, a week.
Yeah.
No, a week, we know it's just a dip. And then they moved on again. So like it done what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the Adapto is a slightly lower level of protein in it than the Elvor Performance. So you were seeing that transition period going from the Adapto onto the Elvor. Intakes are slightly back a little bit.
Just for a week or so. Just for that.
But it didn't take as much meal.
And
just for them few days. And then it took every bit as much because they kept going.
And after, when you started the weaning down period, going from 7 litres, weaning them down to 2 litres, how did you find your calf 18 intakes then compared to what it was?
Our calf intakes was quite high.
We couldn't keep it into them.
Couldn't keep it into them.
You couldn't, honest to God, we were pegging in 2 bags morning and evening and another one in the middle of the day. As soon as you went in, every calf was up, eating them, pushing them out.
Pushing away, they were greedy. They were feeding greedy.
You couldn't keep it into them.
And the feeder, I know, has, on our previous regime with a different milk, they used to eat the teats off the machines when they were being weaned. This time, we bought a bag of 50 and we didn't use them all.
Okay.
So the calves, there was no pressure, they were eating more meal, and the fact that the milk was getting less didn't seem to annoy them at all.
And you were putting that down to the feeding programme more than anything else, are you?
Yeah, and the milk replacer, they were fed, calves were well fed.
Our calf 18, obviously, it's full of cooked ingredients. It's coated with a molishine molasses, which is a slightly higher grade of molasses that goes into anything. So it's supposed to be that bit sweeter and everything. So you've seen it from day one, hopping off the trailer, running straight over to the calf 18.
Yeah, but if they found it, they didn't leave it. They nibbled away and they ate a good bit before they left it, you know.
You could not keep the meal into them.
No, you fed the calf whatever you thought he needed and it was licked.
Yes.
There was no left over. It was clean. The trough was cleaned every time.
How did you find weight-wise, performance-wise of the calves as they're on the milk replacer and then in that period weaning and when they're out in grass during the summer? How did you get on with the calves this year?
So the calves this year, from the whole way through since they were on it, I don't think we've ever had calves that have looked as well and performed as well. They always looked well, had a lovely shiny coat. When they went out to grass, I don't think I think this year was the first year we had no cattle suffered from a wasting disease, where we'd have calves that had bring them back. But we'd no calves wasted this year on grass. They always had that lovely shine in their coat. Only a handful of calves ever lost their sheen, which is unusual. Normally we'd have quite a few calves that lose their sheen. They come back into the shed full. Our average weights for calves coming back in are up. When you break it down by the months of calves born in January, February, March, April, all of them are up. The January calves are up from 195 kilos to 220 kilos on average.
And you're comparing these figures from
2020 to 2019, or 2020 to 2021. So 2021's calves are, on average, January born calves are 220 kilos, whereas the 2020's January born calves on average were 195. So that's an increase of 25 kilos per calf, or on average. Yes. And then that follows through all the months from February, March, April. They're all 20, 30. I think April's calves went from an average of 90 kilos up to 137 kilos. So that's 47 kilos of a difference.
When moving across from your old milk replacer to the new higher spec milk replacer, what were you looking for out of your calves?
So the biggest thing we were looking for is the increased weight gain. That's what we were looking for, and that's what we got. We got exactly what we expected. We got the increased weight gain, and then the bonus on top of it was they drank less milk. And part of that drinking less milk, what it tells me is there was less calves had to be kept on the feeder, so less calves that were either sick or weren't doing so well, because when we wean our calves, we wean them based on, you could say, their condition score, their body condition. So if a calf is coming off milk and we're like, it just doesn't look right, we put them back on milk. So 19 litres less tells me that the average calves didn't have to get extra milk, because they didn't need it.
in terms of workload, did the milk replacer make any difference to your workload, having them that bit, say, reared that bit earlier and everything like that?
Yeah, so because we had less calves getting sick, that means there's less time spent in the shed trying to walk around after them. And also because the calves were doing better, it's just we had less issues to do with the calves and how they were doing, so that means we didn't have to spend as much time looking after sick animals, so it saved us some time, yeah.
So your big takeaways from using the milk replacer last year, you put on more weight onto the calves. Big plus.
Yeah.
There was less mortality in the calves, another huge plus. And then your labour saving, because you're spending less time dealing with sick calves, it was a huge benefit to you in the spring when you guys are trying to get out, get slurry out, do other jobs.
Yeah.
So overall, using the Elvor was a success for you, do you think?
Oh, huge success, huge success. Just on less milk replacer used and weights are up. That for me, I'm sold. It's you can't ask for better.
And the big question is, will you use it again next year?
Oh, of course we will.
So yeah, look, thanks a million, Phil, for having us up again. It's been very insightful. Thanks for all the information. Anyone looking at the video wants to get a bit more information on you, where can they find you?
So you can find me on YouTube at Farmer Phil. If you type in Farmer Phil, you'll see it. And you can go through my back catalogue of videos and you can see all the calves we talked about from the minute they come in, our whole process that we've talked about, and you can watch them right through to when we put them in and we were even weighing them. So that's one of the things on YouTube, you get to see the whole process.
And you also have a great video up of a tour you did of the mill down in Roscrea.
Yes.
So be a good one to check out for anyone looking for...
You can see what goes into Liffey Mills Calf 18 and their wean and rear ration.
So yeah, thanks a million for watching, and be sure to check out Farmer Phil, and we'll catch you all in the next video.
Thank you.